Hello, everybody. Hi! I think I'm live. I think you can hear me. This chat is full of so many amazing folk at the moment. Hello. I'm Little Red Dot. For those of you that don't know me, if you do know me, thank you for being here. If you don't know me, thank you for being here. I am the new Twitch producer for Kobold Press. So if you're out there and you're a fan of Kobold, just know I am over the moon to come on board and start bringing some of the content to life through live plays and conversations with designers and chats that we're going to be having over the next few years or the next year. So I am just like, man, I'm excited. I got plans. I think I've got plans, and I've got a lot of excitement coming into this. So instead of having the usual chat this week, they granted me a period of time to come to all of you and babble. And so here I am, a chance to babble. I want to just take some time and introduce myself, talk to all of you about where I'm coming from and how I and maybe why they gave me this amazing opportunity. But I also want to take a chance to hear from all of you. I know and have been told that Kobold has quite a dedicated following of people that really love the products and really love the lore and content that is around Midgard, as well you should. It's amazing. Yeah, I want to hear from all of you. What do you love? The Twitch channel had some actual plays this year. I want to hear more about how that was and what you loved about it, what you want more of. Hey there, Party Wipe Games. I see you in chat. Yeah, I'm very, very excited. Thank you, Gnome. Yeah, I'm very excited to be teaming up with Kobold too. I've already, I would say that I'm a noob. I'm definitely a noob to the world of Kobold Press, and a noob to Midgard, in honesty, to my shame, here publicly in front of all of you. But that doesn't mean that I haven't looked at some of it. The first Tome of Beast, of course, is like a staple, and was a staple for me when I was playing a lot more D&D, and for good reason. It's got some pretty awesome monsters, and actually today I'm hoping to spend a little time sneak peeking for myself, because I've not even cracked it open. So you're gonna get to see me crack open the digital version of the Tome of Beast 2 that is currently available. You can head over to Kobold Press and get your hands on a copy of Tome of Beast 2 right now, which I'm very excited about. And then I've got a little something extra. I'm gonna do something weird. Are you guys good with weird? Because heads up, y'all, I'm weird. So I'm just here to tell you that I'm going to do something a little different today. I have been looking through another piece that has recently dropped through Kobold Press, which is the Warlock Grimoire 2. And what I think really is really neat about the Grimoire is that the Grimoires, I should say, because it's the second one, it is... They're written a little differently and structured a little differently than a lot of the other product that comes out. And so I haven't had a chance to crack the second book open yet either. So today I was going to scroll and find something and just do a reading for all of you. I was going to read a piece from these books because they tend to be very lore and story heavy. They have incredible descriptions of locations and NPCs and all kinds of stuff. So I thought I'd do just a little clip, because next week, our usual Wednesday show will be back, where you're going to be sitting down and chatting, hopefully, if all goes well, with one of the designers for Tome 2, Megan, and we'll be talking more in depth, I guess you can say, about that piece. I'm really excited to just share some time and space with all of you. A question in chat says, how long will I be live? I'm going to be live as long as this takes, as long as you have questions for me, as long as, I guess I got something to talk about, which is, if you know me, you know I can just talk. Thanks, Christy. Thank you for all these new followers. Sigden Odinson, Theater Nerd, Christy, Broccolin. I see you all out there. Bubbernaut, Striped Red Kite, That Salty Ginger. I see all of these fresh follows. Thank you so much. And one of the things we're really trying to do is to expand what we can offer here, or at least I'm trying, what we can offer on the Twitch channel over the next year for Kobold Press. We've got some really exciting Kickstarters coming. Y'all, the next Kickstarter, I am so hyped about. we'll talk about that here in a second, but I don't want to spoil too much, but there is a new Kickstarter coming. I can't tell you what it is, but we are going to make the announcement next week. So you want to be here for this show next week because, come on. Oh my gosh, so many fresh followers. Thank you, Houndmaster. I bring them on. Bring them on. What is it? It's the Swobold, right? The Swobold. Thanks, Staghound. So, yeah, I'm here. I'm a person. I'm a streamer. I'm a podcaster and a bit of a crazy person when it comes to TTRPGs and storytelling. It's what I love. Thank you for that subscription as well. That is one of the things that we are really trying to push this year for Kobold. More subscriptions for the channel because those subscriptions are going to help us bring on incredible talent to do exactly what I'm talking about, which is roll dice and tell stories using the incredible world and lore that has been built by Kobold over all of these years. Yeah, so, I'm excited. I do this on a lot of different channels for a lot of incredible networks. I do it for my own as well. Yeah, Bub Club in the house. Man, Bub Club turned out today. It really shows some love. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you guys. So yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I get to tell stories with some of the people here in chat, in fact, on all kinds of channels. But my love for TTRPG started about, without giving myself away, like 12 or 13 years ago. I was an undergrad. I have my fight combat teacher, actually, to thank for that, for introducing me to 3.5. And, yeah, and that is kind of how this ball got rolling, at least to start. You play some private games over the years. You play a lot of private games over the years. And then as an actor, I found my way to Twitch. In fact, not through TTRPG, through cosplay, but the community of tabletop gaming and the extent at which it has flourished on Twitch caught my eye. And I got into one game, and I haven't really stopped since then. And so I do everything from grant-funded streams to charity streams to producing things like this. And I'll talk at the end just a little bit about where you can find me when I'm not with Kobold, but I really want to talk about me being a newbie to Kobold, but also having a little bit of excitement for what I'm hoping to bring, because I've done a lot of Twitch streaming and I've done a lot of TTRPG, and I want to see Kobold have something really unique and special that really matches the love and energy and incredible world that has been created through Midgard really come to life. So yeah, yeah. Okay, I love this. I'm gonna read this out loud. Death saves with advantage. I was not involved, just to preface this, but not sure if you were personally involved, but you wanted to pass along some words of praise and thanks for Kobold Press putting together the Deep Magic book. Your players love it. Your players and you love what they have incorporated into your game so far. I am so glad to hear that. Another one, Deep Magic is one that they have passed off. Y'all, I have what I feel like is a month's worth of homework to catch up. I just need to sit and read. We'll have a stream where Dot reads Kobold books. But yeah, I've heard wonderful things about Deep Magic, and one of the things that really draws me to Kobold Press, one of the things that I am always impressed with Kobold Press, is the artwork. Y'all, if there is one thing that can really draw me in to a game, to a world, to a story, it is artwork. And they do not fail. Kobold just really, really impresses me. Yeah, yes, story time. Dot does her homework live for all of you. It's called Kobold Press Homework. So I like I said, I've been doing this a really long time. I'm a very RP-driven storyteller and player, I guess you could say. Eventually, I do hope to run a game here on the channel. That may be sooner rather than later, but I can't spoil that either yet. Oh, yes, okay. A great question. So Broccoline, so you know nothing about Kobold Press. So what are they and what do they do? You're guessing story settings for TTRPGs. They use, well, their older stuff is built off of D&D. I believe that 3.5, and then now everything is 5e. So it's set on D&D basically, the build, but it is set in their own world and their own lore of Midgard, which is, I looked at the Midgard map. Wow. I was just like so impressed. As somebody that really loves deep lore, like something that has always drawn me to TTRPGs are games that have deeply rooted, rich lore that makes the world feel like it's really breathing and thriving and existing. And I remember I opened up the Midgard book and just took a look at the map, and wow. So it is a fantasy setting for all of you that want to know that. Oh, thanks, that salty ginger. Some of my favorite ones have been with you too. I told that to somebody the other day. What was that? I remember I was talking about that spy game that we did together. The little spy game that we did where you were just wonderful. And what was that character's name? I can't remember. Hilda? Nope, I'm not gonna remember. But you were such a buff like lady who was like fully in charge all the time, and I just remember that being like so vividly. Gosh, and we've done so many. Okay, we can talk about that later. My crush on that salty ginger knows no bounds. It's now public. You can clip that. So yes, I'm excited to bring that level of RP hopefully to the channel, to get some new faces here, and to play more games. I want to see the modules played. Some of the modules, if you go to the Kobold Press website, I don't know. I'm still learning, so bear with me. I don't actually know what all of our... Nope. How about this? I can just type it. You can go to koboldpress.com and check out the entire library of stuff. It's incredible. From individual modules, just like you'd find for any other D&D product. But their books, in my opinion, have a real... They're big books, their big releases, have just really deep lore and really draw you in. So I know a lot of people will use Kobold Press in their own D&D games because a lot of it is just completely compatible. And Midgard, like I said, come on. Yes, please do. I'm very excited. I'm going to be diving in because there's already a couple things that I see that I'm like, ooh, I really love this. And the world of Midgard is so huge that there are just really distinct, because it's so big, they can have these really distinct areas of the world that are rich in lore and aesthetic. And I think I know I as a DM am really drawn sometimes to a world that has a heavy aesthetic, and I think theirs do. And in fact, the new release, I'm very excited, the new release to Kickstarter is going to be epic. That's so cool. Yeah, so Empire of Ghouls, a great example, is an adventure set in an underground empire run by intelligent ghouls who eat their enemies or convert them to being ghouls. I love that idea of an intelligent ghoul. Hey, Furios, thank you. Yeah, so please, go check it out. Go see what they've got going on. I promise, if you don't love it all, there'll be at least something that you like. And for those, I'll say this too. One of the things I love about Kobold, and because this is the kind of GM that I am, I'm a bit of an improv GM. Now, I come to the table with plans, but I'm not a big note taker because it never fails that what I plan, my players never get to, right? So I'd rather be a little loose at the table in the storytelling and really let them drive it, and I just adapt to their needs or to the situation or to the world. So that's kind of how I go about doing things, which means books like The Tome of Beast is the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing that you can have at your disposal as a GM, in my opinion, because it is a book that is just there to give you something that you need in an improvised moment. The monsters are really cool, really interesting. Yes, the Swole Bold is a thing. You can go get your Swole Bold Kobold. Yes, it is an incredible TTRPG Bible, and now they've released a second one. There are now 2 tomes. So that was actually going to be the first thing I was going to chat through, was just I was going to take my first peek at Tome of Beast 2. I bet I can share this with all of you. I can do that. Hang on. That way you can see part of what I'm seeing. Hopefully they won't mind that we're doing a little peeky peek. Now they're going to be diving into this much deeper on Wednesday of next week. But I thought today I'm going to take a peek. I'm going to random roll. You know what? Let's get F's in chat, and I'm going to choose an F on the table of critters. All right. Ooh, a flesh dreg. This was the perfect choice for me. Okay, now I'll share this with all of you. So I'll show you kind of what I mean by being very compatible at the table for your needs. All right, let me share. I'm gonna share my screen. Yeah, F's in chat for not having this prepped. It's fine. It's fine. There it is. Okay. Dunsies. All right, let's see if I can't crop in a little bit. We'll take a little peek here at what I can do for all of you. Let's not put that like right over my head. I know the text will be small, but at least you'll be able to see the image. Boop. At least to some degree. Oh, I bet I can crop in on that. All right, check this guy out. I am obsessed with this. I instantly see it and I'm like, could you imagine walking into a grove of these? Like instantly, the first thing I think is like, oh, if you walk into a grove full of these guys, you're toast. You're dead meat. Literally. Here he is. So I'm going to take a quick look and read through some of the incredible writing also that comes out of Kobold stuff. Ooh, The Tales of Margreve is a collection of closely connected adventures in the Margreve forest. The Margreve is a huge forest with a will of its own, and it's older than the gods. Ooh, I am here for an evil druid grove. Yeah, that's very cool. All right. Oops, I got sidetracked. Okay, so a flesh dreg. Let's see what I can tell you about my. Oh. A mass of disgorged plant material lies at the base of this fleshy tree. Hollowed out areas give the impression of a mouth and a pair of eyes. Oop, went too far. I keep scrolling too far. I'm sorry. Y'all. I really got to get I'm going to get in close on this. We need a real close up of all fleshy here. Just replace myself. Rah! Look at that. That is gnarly. That is so gnarly. Oof. So fleshy. So fleshy. Okay. All right, let's see what else we know. All right, a disgusting display. At a distance, the flesh dreg's appearance is not quite so disturbing, but a close-up view invokes revulsion in many creatures. Their most unsettling aspect, the constant spewing of plant Oh, man. Their most unsettling aspect, the constant spewing of plant material, is due to a strange regenerative factor. The trees spontaneously generate plant material, which negatively interacts with their acidic interiors and causes them near constant digestive discomfort, y'all. These trees are basically middle-aged. They're just trying to live their best middle-aged life. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's so visceral. You nearly total party killed your PCs with some monsters from the Tome of Beast 2. The Avalanche Screamers are no joke. Oh, another creature we may have to go check out. Yeah, this guy is a mess, y'all. He's a mess. What does it say? It's so visceral. Like the fact that it goes through its entire regenerative process in detail as a digestive function. I'm impressed, Kobold. All right, let's see. Which one does it say? No, I guess the book is probably done by a group of people. We'll give them some credit here in a minute. The flesh dregs can direct this acidic material as they spew. They can use it as a weapon, which temporarily suspends this continual production, but they are hesitant to do so except in extreme circumstances. If they lose too much acid or their acid somehow becomes neutralized. Oh. Okay. If the acid somehow becomes neutralized, the pulpy material fills their innards, bloating them and eventually erupting through their skin. Right? I will say, though, trying to neutralize the acid in the belly is really interesting. Yeah, so vinegar for the win. That's a really interesting tactic because a lot of druids can neutralize, like, poison, so you might be able to neutralize or produce, like, I don't know if you can okay, this is how weird I am. If I was in the situation and I was a druid and I needed to neutralize one of these trees, vinegar is definitely an option, though if I don't have access to, say, like, a magical item that, like, produces vinegar on the spot, I would change my form into a cow and have one of my team milk me. And then you could use the lactate and the milk to try to reduce the acidity. I was literally about to suggest that I could totally change into a cow, have one of the party milk you, and then you could neutralize the tree with your natural lactate. yeah, Tilla's like, I'm out. I mean, it is a bold move, but it's doable. It's an option. I can't just make vinegar appear out of nowhere. Okay, all right, fine. Just know that it's an option. It's an option for these guys. All right, what else does it say here? Okay, many intelligent creatures encountering flesh dregs judge them by their horrifying features, but the flesh dregs are amenable hosts. Interesting. They understand that many creatures find them repulsive and react to hostility with calming words in a show of peace. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to alarm you. That's just my acidic bile made of plant material coming up from my innards. But don't be alarmed, intelligent creature. Like, they're so aware that they are horrifying that they don't want to upset you. Assuming they establish a friendly footing with visitors, they prove to be valuable sources of information about the surrounding territory. In some cases, flesh dregs volunteer to accompany their new acquaintances within a swamp. Oh, especially if flesh dreg seeks to relocate. Now, y'all know swamp is my favorite setting. Swamp and desert are my two favorite settings for pretty much anything. I grew up in the swamp, so it's personal. And I think desert settings and the scarcity of resources always make for interesting storytelling. So anyways, these little guys would be so perfect for a swamp. And I would love to give my players the predicament of, like, do you trust this plant spewing, vomiting tree? But, like, like, do you or do you not? And there's something kind of cool about putting your players in that position, I feel like. Right, you could totally rock a player's moral compass because looking at it, I immediately think, I need to kill that. It's an abomination, right? Or I imagine that a lot of players will. But, like, the idea that if you take your time and you really listen to the tree, which is trying to be friendly to you as an intelligent creature, could be I love that. The, like, rock of a player's moral compass to, like, befriend such a creature. Scholars who have studied the strange trees conclude they derive from some foreign environment. They are split on whether the creatures come from beyond the stars or migrated from deep within the underworld. That makes sense. They would be an underworld creature. The scholars do agree that flesh dregs serve an environmental niche in their native habitat similar to trees and may be otherworldly equivalent to treants. Flesh dregs assume they've always existed in their swamps, but they aren't interested enough in their origins to argue with scholars. You know what I was just thinking about? So if they're throwing up plant material, like they're throwing up the bile is actually plant matter, you could terraform with these guys. Like, or go to a barren place where, like, fire has run rampant and killed everything, or a forest has, like, decayed to rot. Be very interesting. Come on. So, I don't know. These are very, very interesting in terms of where we're kind of at with, like, their stats, because I'm sure all of you want to know a little bit about their stats. So they are damage resistant to fire, which is very interesting, unlike a lot of plant-based monsters. Obviously they've got damage immunity to acid since they've got constant acid reflux. Their condition immunities, exhaustion, sure, and unconsciousness. Deep speech, common, so it's pretty normal. Their hit points base as they give without rolling is about 115. So, you know, they're no small feat. It would take at least 2 adventurers, probably maybe a third if you're in a decent party, to like really do damage to this thing. I want to know what kind of actions. What's the special actions? So here's the thing. It regenerates 5 XP at the start of its turn, if it has at least 1 HP remaining. So it's constantly regenerating because it's constantly vomiting. Yeah, I would agree with that, Salty Ginger. The Tome of Beasts creatures tend to really flip things on their heads. It's never really what you expect with them, and I like that. Yes, it would fit very well with a Golgari in the Ravnica setting. That would be interesting. So this says, obviously it's got the regeneration, so it's going to regain points each round. But it's also got, makes 2 slam attacks. That's pretty normal for plant-based monsters. Rock. I wonder if that means it rocks or if it throws a rock. It says melee weapon damage, so I guess you could do it either. Rock the boat, rock the boat. Oh, and then its final move is disgorge innards. The flesh dreg expels acidic sludge. Acidic sludge. I love those 2 words together. Oh my god. Okay, I'm so here for this. Yeah, this is a very cool. This is a very cool creature. What a great, because like I'm a a personal fan of the corpse flower. It's probably one of my other favorite monsters. That's not a kobold press, but like I feel like this is almost more vile than a corpse flower. You don't have to make the checks necessarily to like be near it, but that's nasty. Yeah, I love the sound of this thing. This guy is really, really cool. Yeah, and like I said, I have to agree with you, chat. I like the idea of the moral quandary of like putting your players in a position where they can really choose this to be an enemy or be an ally. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, there you go. That was a sneak peek. One quickie sneak peek of what you can kind of expect out of the Tome of Beasts 2. So if you're a GM and you're out there and you're working on games and you just need some alternates, some extra options, some really interesting creatures that flip the normalcy on their head, and can fit in some very specific like settings like swamp or desert, you're gonna find what you're looking for inside of Tome of Beasts 2. So again, go hit the Kobold Press website. I'll drop it again right here in chat because I don't know our hotkeys yet, but I'll get there. There's Kobold Press. You can go to the website and check it out. Tome of Beasts 2. It is on sale now. You can get a PDF. You can get a hard copy, I believe. But go check it out because obviously it is jam-packed full. And the designers are going to be on next week talking a little bit more about this, which I'm pretty excited about. And for those of you that want to know a little bit about the designers, it's got a amazing group of designers. Some that you may even know. Of course, Wolfgang Celeste Conowitch, Darian Dreiter, James Intercosto, Philip Larwood, Jeff Lee, Kelly Palwick, Brian Suskin, and Mike Wellham are all on board. And the entire thing was, of course, edited by Megan, who is the person that's going to be coming in to talk about it next week. So as long as Megan's available, she'll be here. If not, who knows? Maybe I'll dot it up again and we can... I'll random choose and nerd out over a couple monsters. Ooh, sounds almost as nasty as one plant you made up for your Venica sewers called the Last Breath Pod. Ugh. That does sound nasty. Ugh. So yeah, well, chat, while you're here with me and while we're sharing some space, now's a great time to ask me some questions. I am going to be producing for the Twitch channel. You may not always see my face, but I'll be back there. Anytime we're live, I'll be here in chat behind the Kobold Press tag and chatting with all of you and keeping things hyped. But yeah, I want to know if you've been tuning in to Kobold Press and you saw some of the actual plays last year, or this past year in 2020, what did you love? What did you like? What do you want more of? You know, I think we're seeing a lot of TTRPG producers launch their own Twitch channels to do some actual plays, which is going to happen. Don't worry. But I want to know, like, what else do you want to see? What would be something really neat and cool for all of you? Something that's you don't usually get, or something that that maybe you've been simmering on and you think that we could, run with your idea and make it happen. Do you like interviews? Do you like deep dives into the book like what I've just done? So yeah. Yeah. Hit me up. Ping it in chat. Let me know. I'm here to chat. Ooh, first question in from That Salty Ginger. That's a really good question. What do you think the TTRPG space could use right now in terms of streams? What's working and what's missing? Well, here's the thing. There are more TTRPG streams than ever, like live streams, which means they are working. People are tuning in. People are watching. And so I think that our actual plays, right now are working. They're working as both a means of marketing, because I know even now, if I go to pick up a new tabletop game and I want to run it for my table or I want to run it on stream, I immediately go look for other people that have already done it or already run this, because I want to see how they did it. I want to see how that GM used something, or how did they take a module and do it this way, right? So I'm always looking for people that are playing through the content. And really up until probably, the last 10 years, we played all of our TTRPGs behind closed doors, because the idea of streaming TTRPGs wasn't really a thing, right? It wasn't really a thing. So I think more and more people are finding that TTRPGs and the actual play experience is a form of entertainment that we like, right? The things that we're not getting are the drawing the audience into the GM's mindset, talking about why and how you do something. Chad even said it, world building, right? DM Stretch, more world building. And not everybody's there for world building, and I find sometimes even my world building comes more organically. So oftentimes what we see is the world building happens as more like a session 0 to the general public. So it's just the GM, they come on and they're like, what are we expecting for this campaign? And then the campaign runs. But what I've found is people become a lot more interested in your notes, in your lore, in your world building once the show is active. Because now they're dedicated to the story through the perspective of character. And characters and the way that they interact with the world are what draw your audience into that, at least in my opinion. And again, first, take my opinion for what it's worth. And two, remember that nothing is absolute. So I think that's something that we could definitely use more of. You know, I think there's a lot of stigmatism around character building live. And I'm really hoping, one of the things I hope to bring to all of you is once the next Kickstarter for Kobold is announced, the setting alone is like... it's wonderful. It meets one of my favorite check boxes that I've already talked about today, so I can't spoil anything. But two of the new races that they are putting into this have got me hyped, y'all. Like, so excited, so hyped, and so that level of hype. Welcome in, Paladin Hulk. That level of hype. Around character building and around just this race, sometimes I just want to get that out. So I'm hoping to actually do some character building streams where we bring people on and they just spend an hour with us or an hour and a half digging through the content and building a character. Such a simple thing, but such a way to help everybody get more invested, right? Which I really love. Cormac, that's a great. As a DM, you love the discussion of creatures and how they fit into an encounter and the wider world. I often worry that I'm not using monsters to their fullest dramatic advantage. That is so great. Kind of like what we just did, right? Like the pontification around this flesh dredge of like where it could be found. What conflict other than just fighting could your players be could your players face with a character like that? The idea that maybe there is an entire druid grove made of these kind of disgusting flesh dregs. That could be really interesting and say a lot about a world. And so I love that. I might have to consider that myself, Cormac. This idea of like, how do we discuss creatures and monsters in a way that creates an ecosystem of the world in which they live? Oh, basics of the games, you are preaching. Bite-sized doses of entertainment are hard to find in streaming. There are some streams that are just so daunting to get into because of their length and their back catalog, and I could not agree more. I don't know about all of you, but I'm always so busy. I'm jumping from game to game. I literally work 3 jobs. And so like there is, and still want to create more content, right? And so time is of the essence. And I think because there is always some kind of standard or model that oftentimes gets set by what I call the big player, the person on top, that we replicate this model. So I can actually say for all of you in chat right now, one of the things that I'm trying to do for Kobold Press's Twitch channel is our actual plays will be shorter in length, meaning they will be between an hour and a half and 2 hours long. And the campaigns will usually run about 8 weeks. So you're never going to have more than about 8 episodes to watch to get a story. Whether that's a module or something that a GM has come up with inside of Midgard or whatever that 8-week campaign is. But I want to make it bite-sized for all of you because I recognize that all of us don't always have that time. I've even found sometimes the hour-long mark where you can really truncate and bite-size your TTRPGs is not always a bad thing because we want you to listen to it, and it means you're going to come back next week for that little bite versus having to sit down and gorge yourself on a huge meal. So know that's one of the things, and with this new Kickstarter that's launching, we are going to be working on an actual play. It will be the only actual play that we do from now to the end of 2020, just because time and holidays and we all just want to get out of 2020. So we're going to do one. It will be part of the new Kickstarter, the new content that's coming out, and we'll be entirely like using that content. So you'll get a chance to actually see some of the Kickstarter in action of the content before it ever happens, or before you ever even get a copy in your hand, which is really, really exciting. Putting thought into things is always interesting. From what colors a corporation or noble house uses to why dragons are gold. Yeah, and I think you're right. Sometimes we don't really get to talk about those things or share those things. And so I really like that feedback, and I would like to take that and maybe use it. What would it mean for the GM to of whatever campaign is currently being run to sit down and talk about how they're using the product and how they've integrated it? I think that's a really wonderful idea. Oh no, I'm all my grandma glasses. Yes, note to self as I say gorge yourself. Must get dinner soon. Yes, must get dinner. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do some I think 2 things that I would like to bring to all of you would be character building on stream and more time really diving into like how to use all of the amazing pieces that Kobold Press has put out. I don't know if that's going to be with me or if that's going to be with somebody else, but it would be fun. I think it would be really interesting to just like break some things down, make some characters, dive deeper into the lore that they have spent so much time and energy creating. It's true, though. You can easily get lost in the weeds, creating campaign details and never actually getting the overall world sculpted. It's true. I think that's where really your job as the GM, well, two things, right? Like, accept as a GM that you're going to make up things that will never get touched. That was something that I learned very early on, is like, there's going to be content that you make or things that you write or creatures or encounters you expect that are not going to happen. So like there's that. But I think that there is something to what you're saying, Kesrick, that I hope I got your name right. That we can get really bogged down in minute when minute doesn't help tell story, right? I believe as a GM, I am a facilitator. My job is to make sure the world is rich and functioning, and based on the choices the characters make, not the choices I want, but the choices the characters make, I facilitate them through whatever it is, right? So that could be all kinds of things. But my job is just to make sure that the world itself, that sandbox mentality of like, I need to know the cities that are available to them. I don't have to know every NPC that's in that city, but I need to know the general gist of this city, the general gist of this city, and maybe there is a forest, a druid grove filled with these flesh dregs. The real question is, how did they get there? Why are they convening all in one place? Is this the last of their home? This bigger tier picture, I think you're right, oftentimes helps build a more dense world that the players may not ever get, meaning your word of mouth to them in gameplay, but it still writes itself. It still provides you as the GM with the comfortability to mitigate the world and to guide them through it. But it also can create a really rich environment in which they can play and make choices. Yes, I love that. Yeah, perfect. DM Stretch says, I always say as a DM GM, you provide the skeleton. The players put flesh onto those bones. Yeah. Yes, you're rarely creating the detailed level of a Harn world. Yes, exactly. And so I like to do a little bit of both. I usually have, so when I go to build a world or when I go to build a campaign, if the world's already there, I start to make lists of locations, of creatures, and I start to tie dots, or I'm a dot. I start to do tie lines, connect the dots, I should say, to like, does this creature exist here? Is this location even important? If it's important, then it gets listed on a map, or then it gets listed to them. And sometimes I find that I feed my players the world as I go. So I give them a really like 50,000 foot view, and then when the information is relevant, I can seed it to them, because sometimes if you feed them too much information, they don't remember anything, and that is your nightmare as a GM, if they don't remember what you're doing, or it's too much information for them to even take notes, right? Yes. Yes. So yeah, that's I don't know. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited to be here, but I'm excited to dive a little bit deeper into all of the many things that Kobold has, and kind of the world and lore that Kobold has brought to the table. Actually, in fact, that marks my grand dive into another piece that is available right now. Yes, you can still call me. I've officially decided I am the game mother at all points. You can always, from this day forward, I decree, Dot is known as the game mother. Yeah, and you know what? That's true, Cormac. You know, one of your groups really likes to chew the furniture, so you're willing to put more effort into the details, because, you know, they're into it. Yeah, and then other groups just want to fight the baddies. Absolutely. So I think there is, that's valid too. And like, if that's what your players like, give them more of that. Give them more of what they like, because when they're happy, you're happy. At least that's what I tell myself. It's true. Yes. Yes. So it's funny. That's actually what they're talking about. I'm GMing an Aliens game right now elsewhere. And so, you know, they call you the game mother in that game because Alien franchise, but it's just kind of stuck. I really like it. I like it a lot more than Game Master. I like it a lot more than Dungeon Master. So I really love Game Mother. I think I'm just gonna stick with that because it feels so right. Okay, so this other thing that Kobold's got going on right now that I want you all to go check out, that I'm getting really hyped about just staring at the screen. And speaking of resources for GMs, you always need locations, and some of you may not be random roll, like GMs, you may not like random rolling, but I like tables. I like to have tables because if I ever freeze up or my players do something that I could never have expected, random roll tables are super duper helpful for everything from NPCs to locations to items. And this book, Warlock Grimoire 2, is jam-packed full of helpful things like that. From pre-built NPCs with stats, not just like a list of names, because that's not helpful if they decide they want to kill this poor man or this poor woman or this poor creature. Like I need some stats to go with it, right? So they have all kinds of stuff. I'm just going to take a quickie. I'm going to go to the table of contents. So there's some general lore and storytelling, adventuring and dungeoneering. So you're going to see a couple locations that are rather statted, I guess you could say, that you could take them to. And what's really cool about these locations is they could be set into any campaign or any game that you want. They're kind of isolated locations. Of course, you've got tons of monsters, or I say tons. You've got a few more monsters in here, including what they call boss monsters, which tighten up your ties, y'all. Yeah, and then NPCs and some magic stuff. So there's some really interesting things in here, but I want to take a look. You know, we've been talking lore and storytelling. Let's do it. Let's take a look and see what they've got. I won't read too much, but I'll give a highlight of what you can expect out of this book, because I think it's really beautifully written, and for those that really love lore, like gamers out there that really love lore books, like this Game Mother. Yeah, I look forward to these kinds of things, and I need them. They fuel my creativity when I hear other people or read other people's stuff. So what's really cool is in the section here that's all about the like lore, they've got some kind of like, I call them first person, but I don't know that first person is right, but maybe they are. These kind of like stories, these narratives, and I love it. They're in italics, and they're not just feeding you lore. It's somebody living it, and I think that's an informational in its own way. So I'm gonna take a second, and I'm gonna read the first one here. I'm gonna give credit to whoever it is. Don't hate me, Kobold. And then you can go get the rest of all of this on the website. So this is called, and we've been talking about groves, so this only seems appropriate in this moment. This is called The Burnished Grove, Rava's Clockwork Forest. And this is by Sarah Madsen. Also, I've literally not read this yet, so bear with. The plain of gears sprawled before her. The cog she stood on was a shining expanse of metal against a heat-shimmering sky. A blank ingot ready to be hammered, twisted, and formed. She smiled at the possibilities within such unmarred terrain. She hadn't known before what this bare swath would be, but now it could only ever have been set here for its purpose. Her work was never done, and that suited her. There was so much left to do. This wonderful, winding, weaving world was vast and perfect. Everything just where it needed to be, but with potential for so much more. She reveled in her industry and her productivity. Shaking her head, she admonished herself with a laugh that chimed and tinkled like a music box. Here she was, caught out daydreaming when there was work to be done. One last glance at the sky where the filaments of fate wound in an elaborate and precise weave that only she could see. And with a long, deep breath, she began. The filaments overhead shuddered and reformed as she held her staff before her like a moon-facing hand and placed one foot in front of the other. She went slowly at first, carefully, and gained speed with each step until she twirled into a graceful dance across the metallic plain. Ooh, I love that. Each footstep left behind a molten mark pressed into the ground, a seed sown on the surface of this yet unnamed space. Her skirts became a kaleidoscope of shifting color around her ankles as she swirled for miles and miles and miles, sometimes nearly vanishing from view across the distant horizon, before returning in a wide, sweeping arc, each circuit just ever so much smaller than the last. Her staff twirled within her 6 hands, its tip carving intricate trails over her head, causing the filaments to whirl and eddy in response. Her spiraling dance finally brought her to the center of the coil. Her feet stilled. Her breath heaved. When she lifted her head, a glowing gyre surrounded her, etched from her footsteps in the very ground around her, waiting. With a sharp cry of victory, she brought her staff down into the heart of the gleaming whirl. A flash of light split the sky. A great thunderous grinding echoed across the vast plain. The staff, which a moment before was a simple rod of burnished metal, sprouted branches and expanded until it no longer fit within her hands. She turned and strolled through the forest as it sprang up around her with a flourish of leaves and a cacophony of chimes that reverberated from discordancy into perfect harmony. The ground beneath her feet shook as roots burrowed and tunnels bored themselves into existence. Here and there, she reached out a hand, plucked a sprouting bud from a branch, and blew breath into it. And where she dropped it, a clockwork creature unfolded from the petals and slunk away into the trees. At the edge of the spiral, a group of druids and tinkerers, halflings and elves and gear-forged alike, had already gathered, called there by an unknown voice that spoke to them in their dreams. She smiled at them. She who was the source of that calling, and though they were afraid, they did not flee. "Care for it," she said to them, her gentle voice a bare whisper across their consciousness. "Tend to the trees and the creatures within. Cultivate the main spring, help it bear fruit. Do not let it come to harm, for it is vital to all." They nodded and turned to regard her newest creation, the burnished grove, a clockwork forest unlike anything that they'd ever known. Y'all. It's the origin story of a clockwork forest. That is really cool. That's really cool. Oh, and what a beautiful origin story. The idea of this Rava, I'm guessing, dancing about and creating like the spiraling gears. Like, oh my gosh, very cool. Yeah. So Rava is the gear goddess, of course, and kind of this mother of industry, spinner of fate kind of figure. So that's really, really neat. It says Rava, what does it say? Rava, Ariande, the gear goddess, the clockwork oracle, mother of industry, spinner of fate, merchant goddess, patron of the city of Zobek, and patron of weavers and the gear forged. Man, she's cool. I dig it. I dig it so much. Well, there you go. A little sneak peek. But this grimoire, Warlock Grimoire 2, is just jam-packed full of these kinds of like stories and lore and like almost like handwritten like personal stories and notes from the writers themselves. And I think that there's something, I really love that. Like, I really do. Now I just want to read this. So, you can check that out as well. We, hopefully next week we'll have another one about the Grimoire. I would really actually love to bring a few people on to just read some of the sections from this, kind of like I just did, to all of you, so that you can get a literal taste for what you would be reading or receiving, when you get yourself a copy. So, you know, there it is. Okay, let's see. Chat said, PH, the ultimate Grove mother is a super Grover. That's a good question. How do the players discover the lore? An ancient tome in a dusty library? Ooh. I don't know if they give a preface. Let's see what this one is, like if what their preface is for this grimoire. Yeah, it doesn't really say, but that being said, it doesn't mean that they don't have one. Oh, you know what? There's a note from the editor, though. I won't read that one. That one's from Scott Gable. But there is a note from the editor that talks a little bit about this. And kind of this particular book is another kind of like trove of dark and fantastical settings and people that can be, that have like, are part of the world, right? Because it's a grimoire. So yeah, that's just really neat. And this, of course, is the second one. So there's a first one, too. So, you know, get yourself both of them if you like. You were reading along? That makes me so happy, Senior Dread. That makes me super happy. Yeah, another thing we can do some clips and excerpts from some of the books, and some of the writing, because the writers are, I'm finding the writing for the Kobold books is just, it's really fantastic. So it would make sense for us to give that a little bit of love. Yeah. Well, gang, we're coming up on our hour mark, if you can believe that. I've talked at you for an hour now. Last call for suggestions for the Twitch channel. Some things that I can tell you are coming. Emotes. We're going to get some proper Kobold Press emotes, y'all. But to be able to do that, we need your support. We need it through buying some of these incredible things. We need it through subscriptions here on the channel. You can see we've got a new bar just up there on the top. Our actual plays are going to be taking donations so that you can further support us, so we can pay those incredible players and pay that talent that's coming to the table to really bring Kobold Press and the world of Midgard to life for all of you. So I encourage you, always reach out. You know, social media is a thing. Lore sessions, just to have people come on and talk about Midgard lore. I like that too. Nice basics of the game. I like that. Because that's kind of what this is. Like when you read through grimoires, either one of them, it's kind of like just reading through lore. But we could actually come on and talk about the lore and the way that the lore kind of weaves and ebbs between stuff. I really like that. That's very cool. Yes, all good questions, Doozer. We are going. First off, I've got to decide how much actual plays we're going to do, what we're going to be running through for actual plays, and then we will, I'll start casting for those. So you'll probably see some faces you'll see some faces you don't know, and don't forget that Kobold Press has a Patreon. If you really want access to their content and you want it on a regular basis, go join the Patreon. There are some really great tiers. They offer you everything from like merch, new writings, PDFs of stuff, just lots and lots of things that you can get your hands on. It is. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to see, I'm hoping. Yep. So PH, I don't actually know our hotkeys yet. I was just thinking I should probably learn those. So I'm going to have to figure those out. But I will link you because I had it up earlier and I should be able to. Boop. There it is. I'm going to do this right here. Oh yeah, like a little bit of a one-shot like run almost, Doozer. That would be a really fun idea, and that would give all of you a chance to come play with us. Thank you. First off, thank you so much, Basics of the Game, for being a patron and a member for a while. You can become a Warlock patron as well, everybody. Right there's the link to our Patreon. You can go check it out. I believe that they do everything from like polls. Like at $1 a month, you gain access to things like polls and stuff. But the more up you go, the more you begin to get like new adventures and new releases. Because remember, Kobold Press started out as a print magazine, if my history serves. And so a lot of that like print to release that was being done in magazine form or in zine form is now really available via the Patreon. You can get the same kind of releases that way. Yeah, so see, thank you, Senor Dread. It's worth it. The zines and PDFs for short adventures are worth their weight in gold. So that did not come from me. That came from all of you in chat. So, go check it out. There's a link to the Patreon. You should definitely join if you can. So yeah, lots of new things. I can definitely promise shorter run campaigns. I can promise some new faces, definitely some new content, and maybe some really interesting and trial run things like these lore building sessions, lore talk sessions, character building live for people. Bought Tome of Beasts 2. Thanks, Cormac. I look forward to hearing, so they're going to be talking about Tome of Beasts this time next week for the usual, talk show that we do on Wednesdays. Same time, noon PDT, 3 p.m. EDT. And I look forward to hearing in chat, Cormac, what your favorite monster is, since you just got your hands on it. I want to know what your favorite, because I think that Megan, who is the editor for, Tome of Beasts 2, she's going to be talking about some of her favorite monsters as well. So make sure you're back here next week for that, because it was, we want to make sure that, we give you all the goods. So you can go check it out for yourself. If there are no more questions, if there are no more chit-chats to be had, I'm going to call us for the afternoon. One-shots with different players that build different aspects of the world, and when players return, they can reuse their old characters. They can decide on the GM as happened in the time since. We'll see how that goes, Doozer. Remember, it's only one actual play a week at the moment in terms of what Kobold is actually producing. So if all of you want to see more content, if you want to see those kinds of GM, player, and audience games, you got to help us get there. And so you can do that by subscribing to the channel, by giving bits and tips when we're live, and of course, always by going and buying the Kobold product, which will help us continue to do what we're doing. So, thank you all so much for your time today. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to all of these new followers. I want to give a couple quick shout outs. Let's see. Couple quick shout-outs. Commander Pulsar, Paladin Hunk, Scarlet, Nye, Cormac, Furioso, Bulbasaur the Destroyer, Plagued Wind, Carmi, Attila, Kirby, Sloth Prime, Doozer, Dabalik, Houndmaster, Tag Hound, Houndmaster twice. Houndmaster gets a double shout out because you gave us a subscription. Rakshasha Lost, and I called out all the rest of everybody earlier in the stream, but I want to thank you all for being new followers to the Kobold channel. We're going to have a lot more content coming your way here before the end of the year, and we're definitely going to have some more starting in 2020. So now, because you followed, you'll know when we go live every time. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to call it for the day. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Hydrate, stretch, wash your hands, and be kind to one another. The world's a crazy place, and, yeah. Oh, thanks, Bulbasaur. I really, really appreciate that. And if you want to find more of me, you can go find me online as Little Red Dot. I'm in a lot of different communities. I play a lot of different games. And I'm really excited to be adding Kobold and the world of Midgard to that list of places and streams that I get to play in. And I get to tell stories in. So thank you all so very much. I really, really appreciate it. And for all of you that are here, we'll be back, same Kobold time, same Kobold channel, this time next week for a little chat, and to make a very big Kickstarter announcement, y'all, one that you are not going to want to miss. So, I wish you all the greatest of afternoons, and I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.